I believe Mr. Cruz wanted to make a statement to the court and to the victims present in the courtroom.
Okay.
May I take off my mask?
Sure.
I am very sorry for what I did, and I have to live with it every day. And that if I were to get a second chance, I will do everything in my power to try to help others. And I am doing this for you, and I do not care if you do not believe me. And I love you, and I know you don't believe me, but I have to live with this every day. And it brings me nightmares, and I can't live with myself sometimes, but I try to push through because I know that's what you guys would want me to do. I hate drugs, and I believe this country would do better if everyone would stop smoking marijuana and doing all these drugs and causing racism and violence out in the streets. I'm sorry, and I can't even watch TV anymore. And I'm trying my best to maintain my composure, and I just want you to know I'm really sorry. And I hope you give me a chance to try to help others. If I believe it's your decision to decide where I go and whether I live or die. Not the jury's. I believe it's your decision. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Nothing to say, John.
Judge, at this point, I don't think there's anything stopping the court from sentencing him on the 18-14129 case to 25 years concurrently, Judge. There's nothing to stop the court from doing that.
I'm sorry.
I'd ask the court to impose again, the sentence of count 1 of 15 years Florida State Prison, count 2 consecutive 5 years Florida State Prison, count 3 consecutive 5 years in Florida State Prison, and count 4 is a misdemeanor, Judge. I'd ask the court to sentence him now.
I don't think the victim is here for the purpose of the sentencing for that.
The victim has decided he does not want to be present. He asked me to ask Your Honor to impose the maximum sentence as possible.
I don't believe legally I can impose a consecutive, counts 1 and 2 are the same.
Well, they're not, Judge. They have different elements, and we do believe that you can sentence him to consecutive sentences. So we would ask for 15 years, which is the maximum on count 1, 5 years consecutive, which is the maximum on count 2, 5 years consecutive to that, which is the maximum on count 3, followed by a year, which is consecutive to that, which is the maximum on count 4.
So even though count 2 is a lesser included of count 1, you believe legally I can impose consecutive sentences on 1 and 2?
It is actually not a lesser included.
Factually, Judge, they're separate offenses.
Yes. Because one is an attempted aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer using an item as a blunt object, whereas the second one is battery on a law enforcement officer, which is based on the punching and hitting.
Okay.
So they are separate offenses.
Are you in agreement that I should impose the sentence at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, we are. We would ask, it's a total of 26 years in Florida State Prison. We would ask that you adjudicate him. You've already found him guilty, and that you impose that sentence.
Sure.
And that is when the defendant was exercising allocution, he said at the very end that he believed that you were in charge of his sentence and not the jury. So
I'm not sure if he was talking about, I'm not exactly sure who he was talking about. I don't know if he meant you meaning me or you meaning the
but if we can
victims.
clarify so that he does understand that in Florida, it is going to be a jury that determines his sentence as to counts 1 through 17 and not this court. So that we don't have an issue later on appeal or a 3.850 or a 3.851 saying that he misunderstood.
Sure. Mr. Cruz, I'm not sure who you were, I'm not sure if you were talking to me or the victims' families when you said you. But you do understand the state of the law. I went over that with you.
Yes, I do.
And so you know that it's neither me nor the victims' families that are going to be in charge of imposing the death penalty. I don't know if you meant, the way I took it was you meant that they could ask the state to waive it. No, that's not what you meant. Well, why don't you just tell me what you meant?
What I meant was that I believe they should have the right to choose the victims themselves on whether I should take life or death.
So in other words, you're urging the victims to encourage the state to waive it and
No.
sentence you to life.
Judge, may I interject?
Sure.
I think what Mr. Cruz was saying was that ultimately, in his heart, he believes it should be the victims' families that
Oh.
make the decision about life or death. We have, however, explained to Mr. Cruz that it will in fact be the jury that will make that decision after the presentation of evidence of aggravators and mitigators in Phase 2.
Okay.
This, I believe, is just his personal belief.
I understand.
It is in conflict with the law, but he understands the law.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Mr.
understand.
Cruz, is that correct?
Yes.
So if you were the legislature, you would leave it up to the victims to decide what penalty to impose, but you understand that's not the state of the law in Florida?
Yes, I understand that.
You understand it's going to be up to the jury?
I understand that.
Okay,
Thank you, Your Honor.
sure.